welcome back to week 2 of Helps for Hosts. I hope your first group session was a great success. Now our theme this week is reaching out together. And in this session we're going to focus on the purpose of evangelism. Now this is a pivotal week for the success of your 40 days of community experience, particularly your small group experience. This week is going to set the stage for the next 5 weeks of your small group life. And that's why I wanted this time alone with you. We're going to pick up where last week's lesson ended with our focus on a local outreach project that you could do together as a small group. And this is really going to be exciting. Imagine the impact that your church could have and your group could have if every small group in your church worked together to reach out to your community with the love of Jesus Christ. Think of the lives that could be changed, not only of people in your community, but your own lives too. Now this small group outreach project is not just a Saturday afternoon at the mall handing out tracts to strangers kind of thing. No, instead, I want you to challenge your group as the host and your church to think about what I call the giants in your community. Giants like poverty or illiteracy or hunger or prejudice or disease or spiritual lostness. You know, it's time for the church to start poking holes in the darkness and to let the light of God shine through. And that's what we're going to talk about this week in our session. How can we reach out together to reach our communities for Jesus? Now it's going to take some creative thinking in your group as you consider different possibilities. And you know what? There's a lot of creativity in your group. It just needs to be allowed to come out. People will be as creative as we allow them to be. There are plenty of opportunities and outreaches, and some churches choose to do one big project together, but other churches choose to let their small groups decide for themselves. Now we've asked your church to put together a 40 days of community missions project team, and they're going to help you with some ideas. Hopefully they'll have done their job and they've prepared a list of small group outreach projects for your group that you can consider. But just in case they weren't able to put a list together, I've included a list in your study guide of a few ideas that can help you get your creative juices flowing. Here at Saddleback Church, we're doing one big project together. And if you're a Saddleback host, you're going to check your host home kit for those details. As you talk with your group about your outreach project, don't let your thinking get too small. And you'll hear me say it in this week's lesson, that you have to think bigger than yourself. The goal must be greater than the resources at hand. Otherwise, it doesn't require faith. And if you do it on your own, then you don't need God's help. The Bible says without faith, it's impossible to please God. God is most glorified when we trust Him for impossible things, not just the easy things, not just the manageable things, not just the things we think we're ready for, but when we trust Him for things we know are impossible without God's hand. You know, you're never going to know what God could do through you until you come to the end of yourself, until you face a crowd of 5,000 hungry people like the disciples did with only a sack lunch. And that's when you'll see how big God is in your group. So give everybody's faith a little challenge. And remember, if you don't reach all your goals, that doesn't mean you failed. The truth is, if you reach all your goals, it means you didn't think big enough. So think big. Now let me back up and cover a couple details in this week's small group session. You'll find 4 suggested discussion points in the Connect section. Don't get bogged down on these. You'll spend all your time on that. You're just checking in with each other, so you don't want to spend a half an hour just on the Connect. Now you got to connect, but you don't have enough time to make that the whole session. Just give it about 10 or 12 minutes of your group time. Also, remember to encourage your small group members to read their daily devotions in the Better Together workbook. In fact, one of your Connect questions this week will be to ask if anybody'd like to share something they learned from their daily devotional reading. So remind everybody that their daily devotions are important for the overall experience in 40 days of community. Each devotion can be read in about 3 or 4 minutes, so it doesn't take that much time. Well, God bless you, and I hope you have a great time with your group, and I'll see you next time. God bless you.